Hi, my name is Katie Rahn. I'm a current music therapy intern at MusicWorx in San Diego, California. I'm here to talk to you about my special projects because I had two. So basically, this is just a giant lesson in navigating program development for both of the projects that I did. And I'm really excited to talk to you about each one, kind of lessons that I learned from each one, what it took to start each one and implement each one, and yeah, just everything that I learned in the process. So for my particular internship at MusicWorx, we are all required to design and implement a special project of our own choice to finish by the end of our 6 months. So, we're done with everything by the time we finish internship. My first idea was that I really wanted to implement a pilot music therapy program at a local correctional facility in the San Diego area, which, as you can imagine, takes a lot of steps, a lot of diligence, a lot of hard work, persistence. These are a lot of just some of the lessons that I learned in the process of trying to implement this. But first step is I had the idea, I was really passionate about it and really wanted to hit the ground running. I had a meeting with my internship director, Barbara Royer, and kind of designed a plan, written out and everything, because everything in my head works better if I have it written down on paper. So I had the mission statement of the specific facility I wanted to work at listed on there. I had the who, what, when, where, why listed. So who would be my ideal setup was that I wanted to work with both men and women in the forensic setting in correctional facilities. So the original idea was to implement this program at 2 different facilities under the San Diego County. So one facility just housed women and one facility was just for men. So I would ideally be having this program run at both facilities, different days of the week, for approximately 6 weeks was the goal. It was also not going to cost them anything. I made that a very big deal on the document as well, just to emphasize that because it's a pilot program and because I'm an intern implementing this pilot program, it wouldn't cost them a penny, so they wouldn't have to worry about funding or anything like that at the moment, unless we decided to move further with it later on. But that's, that would have been after my internship, and if it had been, if it went well and was continued. I also discussed on the document, where, why, just because it was a special project, something I was very passionate about. The reason I'm so passionate about this population as well is just because I think it's a very misunderstood population. There are only a handful of music therapists that work with this population, and a handful of individuals who really understand why men and women in correctional facilities need that, extra help. Within this document, I also included a second page that had just information about music therapy in general. So it had the AMTA definition of what music therapy is. It also included sample goals and objectives that would be used in music therapy specifically for the forensic population, and sample interventions, so lyric analysis, songwriting, and why those pertain to each goal. I had prepared this entire thing in addition, using my AMTA membership, which was super useful for this. I was easily able to get online and search through the Journal of Music Therapy and Music Therapy Perspectives to search relevant research articles pertaining to the forensic population. I found about 8 to 10 articles and saved them all in a file, just so if I was able to have a phone call or an in-person meeting with anybody to get this program up and running, I'd have research to pull from immediately. So, because it's a very common thing, most people don't understand, what music therapy is and why we want to use it with these individuals. So it's good to just have those things to pull out of your back pocket, just to show, if they ask, well, is there any research showing that music therapy works? What is the reason that we would want to take you on and have this program here? You can say, well, I have all of these research articles that show the positive impact of music therapy in different interventions working with this population. It's good when, advocating for music therapy to have this research that backs up what we do so people really understand it and want to be a part of what we have to offer. So after preparing this document and these research articles, I was able to start making phone calls and contacting anybody I could to try to get this program, up and running. So I first just went on the website and started looking at, the different facilities, what the differences were between them, the phone numbers for each facility. My main goal in this is I just really wanted to find out who the program coordinator was for each of these facilities, or if there was one maybe that oversaw like all of the facilities, that would be even better. But that was my main goal. Unfortunately, it took me a couple weeks to finally get to the right person, about 3.5, 4 weeks to be exact, which now pushes me into, my third month of internship, midway through my third month. It ended up being a trail of phone calls and contacts. So I would call the San Diego, Sheriff's Department and ask them who the program coordinator was. Each separate time that I called them, they were like, oh, I don't think we have anybody under that title, but you can try to call, this person who might be able to lead you to this person. So it was just a big game of phone tag. As I said, I first contacted the Sheriff's Department, the Administrative Center, and was given 2 different contacts and ways to go. The first one being a correctional counselor at one of the facilities, and then the other one being the Detention Services Bureau, or the secretary for that, hoping that one of them could lead me somewhere. The first one, the correctional counselor, I called him twice, or them twice. I never heard back, so that was kind of a dead end for me. And then I continued on with the Detention Services Bureau. The secretary then led me to the head of reentry programming, or her secretary. So I was able to set up a meeting to talk with her the following week, which was very nice. It worked on my schedule. I was like, okay, awesome, like, I'm ready to go. I even at this point, after I had scheduled this meeting, I decided to create a script of, just like some bullet pointed key points that I just really wanted to make sure I didn't miss, such as, it's not going to cost them anything, what music therapy is, what company I'm calling from, the purpose of the project, all of that, just so I was prepared to answer any questions that she might have. It's important when you have these meetings, whether they're on the phone or FaceTime, Skype, anything like that, or in person, that you are prepared and that you feel confident and knowledgeable about what you're going to talk about, because the last thing that you want to do is be fumbling over your words when they ask you something and you just have no idea what to say. Also, bonus tip that I learned from one of my awesome supervisors, this goes for interviewing, for program development, anything really. If somebody ever does ask you a question that you're not super sure of, you can always say, thanks for asking that. That's a great question. I actually don't know the answer at the moment, but I'd be happy to check with my supervisor and get back to you. And that is a totally valid statement. It's good. It's a very composed way to answer. It shows, you don't become flustered and you're like, I don't know how to answer this. And it's just a very good way and an honest way to let them know, I'm committed to finding an answer for you and getting that to you as soon as I possibly can, without trying to make up some kind of answer that might not be true and you're not totally sure of. Back to this phone meeting that was scheduled. I was ready and prepared for this phone call. I was sitting there, going over my script, making sure I knew everything that I wanted to talk about. The scheduled phone call was supposed to be at 10 a.m. and 10 o'clock a.m. came around. I didn't have a phone call, so I was like, okay, I'll just wait a couple minutes. 10:05, 10:10, 10:15. It finally hits about 10:20, 10:25-ish, and I'm like, okay, something's up. So I decided to call the secretary back again, and she didn't answer, so I just left a voicemail just saying like, hi, like I was scheduled for a meeting with a reentry programming director. I was just wondering if, if maybe I got the time wrong or anything like that. Please call me back and let me know. And luckily, she did call back within about 5 minutes and said, oh, like, I'm so sorry. She must have forgot. No problem. Can we reschedule? And I was like, no problem, not at all. Which is also very important. You never want to sound frustrated or anything like that when you're trying to set up a meeting to do something like this, because one, it's very unprofessional, and two, it shows that you're very flexible and willing to work with them. When, things fall through and you're willing to just say, hey, you know what, it's okay, let's move forward. It shows that you're mature, it shows you're professional, it shows that you're flexible, and those are all amazing things that people want to see with somebody that they're potentially going to work with. So, having now another week just to wait around until I could have this rescheduled meeting, which was going to be on the following Friday, I decided, okay, why not? I'm going to make a couple more phone calls just in case, like, what if this isn't the person I need to talk to? What if there are other people I also need to reach out to? So I decided to call the Sheriff's Department Administrative Center again, which then gave me the phone number to a different place than the first one, which was the Detention Support Division. Upon calling them, they gave me some good information about two specific facilities that would be most likely to have a program like this. According to this individual, other facilities under the umbrella just don't have as many programs or aren't as receptive to having those types of, wellness programs and health programs. So he said, okay, well, facility A and facility B are going to be the ones you want to work with. One of the ones was one I was already planning on working with, and another one I hadn't thought of but was now open to, and decided to make these two facilities my new target. Within this phone call, they also directed me to the Reentry Services Assistant Manager, which was exciting. I was like, this sounds very promising. That's a good title. It sounds like somebody I want to talk to for this. Unfortunately, upon calling this person, I also didn't receive any feedback or any callback or anything, so this was also a dead end. Moving back to the information they previously gave me about these two facilities that I could work with, I decided to call one of the facilities just straight on. So I called Facility A, which led me to the Correctional Services Coordinator, which also seemed really promising. I was like, okay, awesome, like, this is the person I need to talk to for this specific facility. That's gonna go great. I also didn't hear back from this person. It was another dead end. So lesson learned there, you just gotta keep trying and keep pushing. You definitely don't wanna overdo it. You don't wanna make too many phone calls, like multiple in a day or multiple in a couple days. If you're gonna make multiple phone calls, you want to kind of space them out a little bit by a couple days, maybe a week, just to show that you're professional and you're persistent, but you're not desperate or overwhelming them with all of your phone calls and contacts. The golden rule you want to look for is 7 points of contact, and that doesn't necessarily mean 7 different ways of contacting, although it is very good to spread that across phone calls, in-person meetings if you can get them, just driving straight to the facility, and emails. But people are really going to start remembering you when they've heard your name or seen what you're doing about 7 times. So maybe the first time it's a phone call and they hear you on their voice message, or maybe another time they see a flyer with your company name on it, and another time they get an email or two from you, another time they get a link to your website, and another time they see you on social media, and then the 7th time, a colleague of theirs mentions your name or something. It takes that amount of time for you to really stick in someone's head, for them to, most of the time, for them to want to contact you back and everything. And luckily, there are situations where people contact you back sooner, and that's fantastic, but to keep that persistence going, you don't want to stop until you've had those 7 points of contact, which is something I definitely learned from this. I don't think I reached those 7 points through any of this, and maybe the ball could have gotten rolling a little bit faster if I had, one, had more time, more of a larger time span to get this rolling, but also if I had been more persistent with more points of contact or more attempts of contact. After all of that and all of these different contact points and different dead ends and everything, I finally had my meeting with the first individual that I was supposed to have a phone meeting with, and it is now that following Friday. I had the meeting, it went fantastic. I had a great conversation with her, and she led me to the program coordinator. And this is the title I had been looking for all along. So she CC'd me on an email with the program coordinator, and I was able to email her and say, hey, like, I'd love to set up a meeting. She was very receptive to that. And within the next week, I was able to set up an in-person meeting with her at her place of work. And I went there, we had a meeting for about an hour, and I brought my documents for her just so she could look over them. And we had a great conversation about the program. She was all for it. And I left that room feeling very confident and very knowledgeable, and like this was really gonna go somewhere. So that was very exciting. The main thing that we needed to do following this, the next action step, was waiting for the board to approve it. And that can take, she warned me, it can take up to, 3 to 4 weeks for approval, which made me a little bit nervous because at this point this would put me in my in the middle of my 4th month waiting to hear back. And I wanted this program to be 6 weeks, so I really wanted to get it started as soon as possible. She also mentioned that there are different orientation dates for the employees and volunteers at these facilities, but they only have one orientation date per month. This being said, if they approved me, before the end of my 3rd month, I could maybe get in for that orientation date at the end of the 3rd month. But if they didn't get back to me until the 4th month, I wouldn't be able to get into the orientation date until the end of my 4th month, and not start the program until my 5th month, which was really, really cutting it close. So I played the waiting game. That was the next phase, is the waiting game, and just had to be patient and see what they said. Unfortunately, she got back to me saying the board did not approve it because a specific facility that I was trying to implement the program didn't see a need for it because of the wide range of other programs that they already offered, which was very disappointing. She also said that there was a potential for me to have a program at another facility, but within the time frame of my internship, it wouldn't work out because the 6 weeks would have had to run into January, and I finished my internship in December. So just because of the time frame on that one, we had to cut it short. And now at this point, I was a little over halfway done with the 4th month of my internship, with only about 2 months left. And I'm like, okay, now I need to decide on a new project. This began with me talking with my internship director, Barbara Royer, once more, and just letting her know what happened and saying, hey, what can I do? And so she offered, there is a program that has already been up and running within MusicWorx for the past couple years that works with adults with Parkinson's. We call AudAbility. It's a fantastic program run by one of the MusicWorx staff, Lindsay Zarin. It's very NMT, neurologic music therapy based. I learned a ton from it just by co-facilitating and facilitating multiple sessions with this population in Audibility, which is very exciting. Already being passionate about this program and excited to work with Lindsay on this, I was like, yeah, I'd love to do something with Audibility. So this second project was a lot of the marketing side of program development. Since this program was only 3 years old, we were starting to dwindle a little bit in participation. So the main thing was to get out the message of our next cycle of our 12-week program beginning in January, and anything we could do for online publicity, also tabling at the Parkinsons Empowerment Day in San Diego, and just doing anything we can, making phone calls, emails to anybody that we could so people knew what this program was to get them signed up. But just to give you a breakdown on what Audibility is, you can find more information on our website, but just quickly to go over what it is, there are a few different classes that happen once per week for a 12-week program. There is a voice class, a blues harmonica class, as well as a beginning harmonica class, a piano class, and a drumming class, all geared toward working on specific goals for individuals with Parkinson's, including finger dexterity and finger strength, fine and gross motor skills with drumming. There's a lot of cognitive exercises with all of the different things that we do. Also vocal projection and enunciation in our voice class, and like all different things like that. It's a wonderful program to be a part of, and it was really cool being able to be at Empowerment Day and, you know, market for this program and show everybody, hey, this is the awesome thing that we have. We'd really love you to join. So my main thing here was that I created a task list with Barbara and Lindsay. So the main things that I was going to do was to set up some focus groups for previous Audibility participants, just to kind of get them in a group and ask them some questions about why they quit Audibility if they had to, what they enjoyed, what they didn't like about Audibility, and just getting ideas for how it could be improved. So I was going to set up those focus groups, also set up presentation dates for different Parkinson's support groups in the area, just to get our name out there and offer you know, slight discounts if they signed up that day, which is also a great marketing tactic. And then also the biggest part of this project was to prepare for Parkinsons Empowerment Day and be there for the entire day to just give people information about the program and try to get people to sign up. So this was also, again, a lot of emailing, a lot of phone calls, similar to the first project. Something else I also learned from this project was, you know, you can send out a very detailed email or even a very simple email to 50 people, and, you know, maybe 5 of them might actually get back to you. And with that said, it's also important to send out reminder emails. So the first time I sent this email out for the focus group, for example, I got 2 respondents of the like 51 people that I sent it to, and then I sent out the following week just a reminder like, hey, we still want your input. We would really like to offer you a 20% discount on Audibility registration if you're a part of this focus group, and we just really want to hear what you have to say about the program so we can make it better for future participants. And sending out that reminder, I got 3 more people, which still isn't a lot, but it still got a couple more. And then I was able to gain even more participants for the focus groups at Empowerment Day when I was standing at the booth and tabling for Audibility. I was able to have a focus group at the end of my internship, and it went really well. They had some wonderful ideas for how we could improve the program, and, you know, I took all this information and gave it to Lindsay so she could implement it, decide what she wanted to change, what she wanted to keep the same, to, you know, improve this program. I was also able to email a bunch of support groups and other Parkinson's organizations, such as, you know, local Parkinson's choirs, such as the Tremble Clefs, and Rock Steady Boxing, which offers boxing classes for individuals with Parkinson's, to set up presentations for them just so we could step in for a few minutes and say, hey, like, this is who we are, this is the program we have to offer. Please contact us if you're interested, which is also a great way to market just because you're in person, they're able to see who they'll be working with in this program, and get all the information right then and there. For these presentations, I always brought Lindsay's business cards, as well as a flyer saying the start date of the next cycle, January 9th. We also offer the incentive that, you know, you can come and try the first one for free. If you like it, you can stay and pay for the rest of the program. If not, you don't have to, just to see if it's something that you might enjoy. And this is a great way to pull people in as well, because at least they get to try it out, you know, before they buy into it, because a 12-week program for anything is a big commitment. Being able just to offer, you know, try the first one for free, no commitment attached, just to see if it works for you. And that's also very personalized. We definitely don't want to encourage anybody to sign up who, you know, ends up signing up, spending all this money, and then, you know, week 2 decides, you know, this really isn't for me, because, you know, we love our program, but reality is it might not be for every single person, and that's okay. So this is another great way to get people in and hopefully get people to, you know, to retain them, to get them to stay and continue improving within the program. The last big thing was Parkinsons Empowerment Day. It was super fun. Myself and Lindsay and Barbara were there the whole day, you know, 7:30 in the morning, and we're there till about 4. So it was a great way to spend the day. It was amazing. We were able to see a bunch of individuals who are already in our Audibility program, as well as, you know, new people that we hadn't met that were very interested in what we had to offer. It was just really cool. I was able to learn a lot about Parkinson's throughout that day as well, which was very incredible for me. It was a very enriching experience that I'm so grateful for because of this project. since I'm leaving, and this is my last week of internship, I was able to still schedule a lot of other presentation opportunities for Lindsay to execute once I am gone. So even though I wasn't able to make those presentations happen, I was still able to make that difference by scheduling some for January right before and kind of during that first week of classes, so that people really know, what's going on and where it is, and how they can get more information on it and everything as well. It was a very fulfilling experience. Both of these projects taught me so many things when it comes to program development. I learned the use of different forms of technology. For example, something I actually didn't mention was when I was sending out those emails for the focus groups, for example, I used a website called MailChimp. And what we did is, you're on MailChimp, you're able to send out very professional looking, put together advertisement style emails to a whole group of people. So you can create a group with different people's emails, and then create this email with different fonts, different photos, a different layout. It almost looks like a website. And then select that specific group with all your contacts in it and just mass send. It was something that would grab their attention without being, too over the top, but just enough that it's like, hey, we want your input, we're gonna grab your attention so that hopefully you reply to us. Now, the reason I didn't use MailChimp for, say, the support groups when I wanted to do presentations, for those, we wanted those to be very personalized, so it didn't seem like it was just like junk mail, like we're selling something. So for those, I just sent out normal emails with, dear Sally, whatever the name of the person is who runs the support group. This is who we are, this is what we want to do. We're hoping that we can set up a presentation just for the first 5 minutes of your support group. Let us know if this works for you. The last thing we wanted with that audience was for them to just put it in their junk mail and think, oh, they're selling something, I don't want to be a part of that. So it really just depends on your audience and what you're trying to convey for each one. So I was able to learn this new technological skill that I hadn't used before. It was the first time I had ever used MailChimp, so that was really cool. I was also able to learn a lot of patience, both with myself and with people that I'm working with and contacting. This is something that takes a lot of time and a lot of diligence with any type of program development, whether it's just marketing or trying to begin an entire program. As many of you have heard before, if you throw enough mud against the wall, some of it will stick, and you will be grateful for that amount that does stick. Even though I wasn't able to finish my first project that I was extremely passionate about, I'm still very grateful for the experience because it taught me a lot, and I feel that I was able to at least get my foot in the door for building some type of program that could maybe be continued by a future intern or a future MusicWorx employee or just some other music therapist later on down the road. I was able just to get that education piece in there enough and get all the legwork of the contacting out of the way, so now if we want to continue it, we know who to talk to, and that sometimes can be the most confusing part. I learned a lot of business and professional skills. I learned a lot of organizational skills and how important it is to be organized with everything that you're doing when you're preparing to, talk to important people about creating this product or starting this program, anything like that. I also learned the importance of flexibility. Sometimes things don't always go as planned, and that's okay. When one door closes, another one opens, and it does you no good to dwell on it. It's just great to know, okay, this is what I learned from this experience, here's how I can use my knowledge for future experiences, and what can I do now to continue learning but still make an impact. And that was when I made that decision, to switch off to a different project, and I'm very grateful that I was able to have 2 different kinds of projects within my time in internship, because not everybody gets an experience like that. So this was basically just a rundown of the 2 special projects that I had to do for my internship. If your internship site doesn't provide an opportunity like this to have a special project, I would highly encourage talking to your internship director and seeing if that's something that you can do. It may seem like a lot of work, because it is, and it may seem like, oh, I don't have time for that, but the reality is you do have the time for it. If it's important enough, you can make it happen. And I think it's so worth it. There are so many things that you can learn from projects like this, especially during the time of internship or while you're a student, because you're, taking in all this information, and it's your biggest time of growth. You will continue to grow throughout your professional life and everything, of course, but we really are like sponges in our internship, so we take in so much information, and it's nice, I think anyway, in my experience, to be able to apply that firsthand immediately during my internship experience while I was learning. I thought that was very beneficial. So I would encourage you to do the same. I hope you enjoyed this vlog on my special projects, and I hope you learned something from it. Thank you so much, and happy holidays.